Okay, hi everyone. So what's this about? Well, Tuesday nights Tom Davis has his GeoGuessr tournament night on Twitch, and last week he did a little UK tournament. Now trying to work out where you're on the UK just from one image is almost impossible because so much of the UK, and Ireland for that matter, look very similar if you're in a country lane or if you're in a housing estate. So what he did was he gave everybody 1 minute per round to try and find some clues, and I was one of the few people who managed to get 20,000 on both games, and a lot of people were complaining how difficult it was to score. So I'm doing this video to try and give you a few tips of how to score points quickly on these UK rounds. And it's also useful, I suppose, if you're trying to get a perfect score on the UK, save a bit of time, because the quicker you can pinpoint what city or what area you're in, the quicker you're going to find your location. So this was the first round, and I scored, let's have a look, 21,193 points. Let's go through this round by round. So the first round was a bit kind, I suppose. Let's go and have a look at this one. This one, here it is. Now I'm not using, as you can see, this is normal Street View. So of course in the game you wouldn't get these this information on the left hand side. But the game's been played, so I can't really go back into the game itself. So ignore this. You don't get this when you're playing this information on the left. Now the first thing I thought when I saw this is London. I don't know how many people watching this, how many British people watching this have been to London, but everyone should go to London at least once. It's the biggest and most important city in the country, and it's probably the most interesting city in the country. And it's so varied. But this says to me London straight away, and this was very quick to find out where you were. We go down to this first junction, and it says on all these streets here SE1, and most of the districts of London put the postcode on the signs, which makes it very easy to locate where you are. Southeast 1, Southeast London. Here is a map of postcode areas of London. W for West, NW, NE, SE, SW, and you've got the central ones, WC and EC. And I suppose it's useful generally as time goes by to learn more of these postcode letters. It varies though from town to town, because a lot of towns don't put these postcodes on their signs. So it's not necessarily very useful outside London. So let's go back to the scene. So Southeast 1, we can go into a map then, knowing that we're in Southeast London. Southeast 1, let me just show you that map again. The ones with number 1, E1, SE1, SW1, so on, are all central. Once you get to 2, 3, 4 and whatever, they're all higgledy-piggledy because they're in alphabetical order. So W2 is Acton, starting with an A, for example. Over here, SE18, I think, is Woolwich, W for Woolwich, I'm not sure. 10 would be G for Greenwich, I suppose. So that's more difficult to know these unless you live in London. But the central ones should be easy enough for anybody. So SE1 must be South Bank. So you can just go into your map, click here. You don't even really need to, in this format of the game, you don't need to go any closer in than that. You just click somewhere. 4,900 points. You haven't really got much time in a minute to go in and find out exactly where you are, but you could have a look, I suppose, for the streets. Round 2. Where were we in round 2? Let's have a look. Oh, this one. Ha. At this time, we've come out in a 1960s housing estate. First thing you notice, I think, is the boats. I think maybe we're at the coast, but that turns out to be a red herring, as we'll see. So I came down here. At first, actually, I went to the right there and got stuck, so then I was in a bit of a hurry to get out, so I came up here and turned down here. And by this point, I'd already used up half the time, so I was getting a bit desperate. The bins didn't seem to have anything on them as I was going past. And just go back slightly there. I'll show you where I got to. This is where I got to. When the time I think I had about 10 seconds left. Got to here, and in desperation, I suppose, as much as anything else, I zoomed in on these for sale signs, and they say, hallelujah, they say Alderley Edge on them. And I'm from Cheshire, so I knew immediately where this was. You may have heard of Alderley Edge even if you're not from Cheshire, because it's part of the so-called Golden Triangle south of Manchester, where the footballers live, and features in, what's it called? Housewives of Cheshire. So let me just show you on the guess map here. I have to zoom in quite a bit to get there. There it is, Alderley Edge. So this area here, Wilmslow, Mobberley, Alderley Edge, Prestbury. So this is the Golden Triangle. Lots of very expensive properties and very handy for the airport. Okay, so I got nearly 5,000 points in that round, just by that last minute bit of fortune. I did notice looking around in other directions there were quite a few bins that say Macclesfield on them, so bins can be quite a good technique. Let's go to round 3. Now this was a bit of a failure for me, but as you'll see, there are lots of clues here. So this is a Victorian or Edwardian street of villas, very nice, well-to-do area. Although this car belies that fact. If you look here, in fact, it says prep school or pre-prep school at this entrance. That's not really very helpful to finding out where we are. Now, if we come down to the end of this road, depending which way you go, that's gone far too far. It does that sometimes. It's popped us up into this close. These bins, first of all say Oxford City Council recycle for Oxford on them. So there's your game straight away. On the junction itself, something I missed when I was busy trying to get to some information. These black street signs with white writing, typical Oxford. I don't know whether, I suppose there must be other streets that do this, other cities that do this, but Oxford's quite well known for doing it. So let's say we've missed those clues. Let's come down here to the main road. Come out of the fantastically named Squitchy Lane. And if you're lucky, this van, which is just coming out of the lane the same time as Google Cat, actually says Oxford on it. Let's say we missed that clue. There's a bus up ahead. Let's head for the bus. And the bus says Oxford on it. So you're going to get 4,900 points, I reckon. By just knowing it's Oxford. In fact, we're in the north part of Oxford. If we went the other direction, up Squitchy Lane, we come out to another main road. And here there's a big clue because the name of the road is Banbury Road. And hopefully you know Banbury's in Oxfordshire. If that's Banbury Road, that's the road going to Banbury. We must either be, and this is a north-south road, according to the compass. So we must be in a town that's either north or south of Banbury. Which really means either Oxford or Leamington. Let's go north here. And I think this way, if you went this way, you quite quickly, oh there it is, you quite quickly come to a sign. And that sign says on it, A40, Cheltenham to the west, London to the east. So that should be enough information to go into the map. You're on a Banbury Road on the A40 between Cheltenham and London. Let's have a look at the map. Let's go down here. There's the A40 coming out to London. It disappears for a bit because of the M40. There it is, A40. There's Cheltenham. There's Banbury. And in fact we're up here in North Oxford. Unfortunately I missed all the clues from that round. I just hedged in the Midlands. You're probably going to get a round like that, so I only got 2,700 points. That was wasted points, that was, in that round. Okay, let's go to round 4. This was a country lane round. So again, the motto here is move. Which way should we go? Let's go this way. And I seem to think it takes, even with the touchpad, it's working quite slow for me now. It took me about 40 seconds to get out. And I've checked both directions. Both directions take you out to the main to a main road. Obviously not the same one, but take you out to a main road in about the same amount of time. The countryside here isn't telling me anything really. This is such average, bog standard British countryside. Some of you might be able to recognise the foliage as being from a particular part of Britain. Now, this is what I got when I came out onto the main road. And here again, it involves a little bit of knowledge of the country. There are 2 clues here. One is the place names. So Godalming is in Surrey, Horsham is in Sussex. So I guess we're somewhere on the border between the 2. And it says B2130. You do need to know your road zones. So here's a map of the road zones. This is the 2 zone. It's not very big, so we're somewhere in this zone. The 1 zone is east of the A1, so it includes East Anglia, Lincolnshire, East Yorkshire. The 3 zone is the southwest of England. 4 zone, the South Midlands of England and most of Wales. The 5 and 6 zones include a bit of the Midlands. The 5 zone is mainly northwest England, North Wales and the Lake District, and the 6th zone is mainly the Pennines. And there are 3 zones in Scotland, 4, so there's the 6th zone, I suppose a little bit of the 1 zone. 7 is southwest Scotland, 8 northwest Scotland and 9 northeast Scotland. So you need to bear these in mind. Another thing to know is that the numbers start low and get higher. So the A10, the A100, and the B1000 will probably be down here. And if you're looking for the A19 or the A190 or the B1900, it's probably going to be up here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my scene. So then I went into the map. If I can find the map. Where's it gone? There it is. And south of London. There's Horsham. There's Godalming. So we must be somewhere in the Cranley area. Is Cranley actually on that sign? Yeah, Cranley's on the sign as well. So we should be able to get 4,900 points now that we've found this sign. In the end, because I found it right at the last minute, I clicked as near as I could without zooming into the map, so I did quite well. How many points did I get there? 3,600. It's not too bad. Last minute click. And let's go to round 5. Another country lane. Which way did I go? I don't know. Let's go this way. Now this is quite flat, so this says probably Eastern England. There are other parts of England that are flat, and parts of Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland that are flat. But if you're going to bet just on this information, I think you'd guess this was the east of England. I come out to a sign. Now this one says Sleaford on it, and you need to know where Sleaford is, I suppose. Which luckily I do. Again, you need to, maybe part of your bedtime reading is to take a county at a time and learn a little bit about the geography of different parts of England. Here Sleaford is one of the main towns of Lincolnshire. This is the Fens here, this area. No wonder it's flat. So again, if you click on Sleaford, and if you zoom in a bit, if you've got time, you could probably find some of those other places on that sign. What does it say? Threekingham, Billingborough to the south. Oops. There's Billingborough. So we're somewhere between Sleaford and Billingborough. It doesn't seem like the A15. We're probably on this little road here. Okay, so that was the first round. Now let's have a look at the second round. Okay, this was round 2. And let me have a look. I got 20,382 points in this round. As you can see, I started off a bit ropey, but then came fully together in the last 2 rounds. So let's have a look at these rounds. This is round 1. Now let's go this way and have a look what we find. Again, this is me on my touchpad. If you've got a mouse, you should be doing this much quicker. I'm ignoring everything. I just want to get down to the road. So ignoring these bikers, ignoring the canal. Ignoring these houses. Here we are at the road. Okay, and this we got there in enough time to have a look and get into the map. It says Retford B1403. So there are 2 clues here. One is that Retford is a town. I think you should know Retford. It's hard to say exactly which towns everybody should know, but if you're going to play this game, you do need to learn where some towns are. So Retford is one of the main towns in Nottinghamshire. Here it is. And the other clue there is the B1403, so we're in the 1 zone, which is the east of England. So now I can just click on Retford and get your 4,900 points. So look at location 2. Location 2. Now I can tell you before I do anything that it's not actually possible in 1 minute to get out to a main road from this location. I've tried that. So you've got to go on some other clues. Now if you go up this way, so east, keep going. What I did, because I couldn't come out to a road, is I noticed from this location there's a bit of hill in the distance, but this kind of countryside with dairy farms, very narrow roads between very high hedges. Now this to me says the Welsh Marches, so the area down from Cheshire down to the River Severn. The only clue I could find here, which would tell you where we are, is it here? Where have I lost it? Is it back there on that gate? Yeah, it says here. It says the Dairy Farm Penrose. So this would tell you that you're in Wales, but that's not much help, is it really? So let's have a look at the map. Let's come out here. Now what you need to do in this situation, I suppose, is to hedge, and that means to put your guess somewhere that will get you a guaranteed number of points. So if you guess here in central Wales, you're just about guaranteed to get 3,000 points in this area, unless you're really unlucky and it's over here or Anglesey. In fact, I guessed here in South Shropshire and got 3,000 points. If you look at the map. So I didn't see the Penrose sign, but I guessed we were somewhere in this area, and I got 3,000 points. That was the worst round of this, the worst round of this round. Okay. Number 3. I see number 3 I got wrong. Now, to be fair, if you go this way on this round, you're not going to get much information. I'm just going to have a quick look and see if I can see these bins are blank. That's not a very good start. Anything up here? There's a van. What's on that van? Is that van blank? Or is it Van Rouge? No. See, I've look at that bin there. There's not much on that, is there? So I think if you went that way, you're pretty unlucky. In the end, I just thought, well, this looks like the Midlands, and got lucky really to get 4,000 points. I think it was 4,000. Let's have a look. Round 3. No, I got 3,500 points. Now if you go this direction, you quickly come out on the main road. And if you turn down here, oh, there's a sign. What does that say on it? It says Leicester Northwest Major Transport Projects. There you are. I missed that. That would have been great, wouldn't it? That would have taken about 20 seconds to find. But there are lots more clues down here towards this junction. All these businesses, I've got the phone number on, 0116. Now you're not going to learn all the phone numbers in Britain, but it's worth learning these big numbers, like 0121 for Birmingham, 020 for London. These ones that start 011 are also big cities. 0116 is Leicester. Unfortunately, when you get to this junction, they seem to have taken all the signs down because they're redoing it. So the phone number here is probably the biggest clue where we are. And then luckily for me, the last two rounds of this were quite easy. So let's have a look at round 4. Now, this one, if you just click north a few times, my laptop's being a bit slow suddenly. He'll come up. Oh, there's the junction. Just coming up now. Where's it gone? There's a big junction here. There it is. It only took about 30 seconds in the game. And this tells you that, again, at A134, so on the east of England, Thetford and Bury St Edmunds. If you go into the chat map, Thetford and Bury are both there, so we're between them. Zoom in. And what were the other locations there? Farnham, Barnham, Hampton. Farnham, Hampton. So you can quickly work out, I think, that we're in Ingham. And we've been going north, so we must be south of Ingham. So I'm not going to get close to 5,000 points there. Just to show, if you go south from this location instead of north, it's even easier. The sign right there. So, excuse me, the last round was even easier, really, because we were back in London. Let's have a look at this. I looked at this, and the first thing I thought of was Battersea. This is quite a famous tower block in Battersea in South London. What I didn't recognise is this building. This is the American Embassy. Tom Davis recognised that. I told an amusing anecdote relating to his visit there. If you don't recognise this straight away, the black cab suggests London. There are other cities that have black cabs. And if we go down here towards the junction, first thing you'll notice is this bus stop with the London Transport symbol. So we must be in London. Why aren't we moving? There we go. That sign's no use. We come down to the junction by that tall building. A bit further down. Okay, there's some clues here. Like we saw in the very first round, the street signs are usually very informative. This says it's London Borough of Lambeth, SW8. Go back to our map, I can see SW8. This is southwest London. And on this sign here, it's got River Thames, Nine Elms, Wandsworth Road, New Covent Garden Market, Oval, Vauxhall Park. So you can plonk your marker down somewhere not far from the centre of London and you get 4,900 points. So hopefully that's been useful in telling you what to look out for when you're in a hurry to get points on a UK round. Don't forget postcodes, especially useful in London because they're often on the signs, street signs. The phone codes, go to Wikipedia, list of dialing codes in the UK, the short code section. These are the main codes you should know for the big cities in Britain and in Northern Ireland, which is 028. And for the roads, the basic system of the road numbering in Britain.